Where are we?
This is Mark McNeese in New York City, and you're listening to Age to Perfection, brought to you by LGBTSR, where age is embraced and life is celebrated. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is Mark, and I'm very happy to have on Dr. Imani Woody as my guest this evening. We met, although I don't know if you... hello, by the way, Dr. Woody.
Hi.
Now, I don't know if you remember, I came up to you we were at the White House LGBT Elder Housing Summit, which is where I saw you. I heard you on the panel. It was fabulous. And then I came up to you at lunch. I don't know if you remember that, because for some reason I thought you were out of Chicago, and you're not. You're in DC.
Oh, okay. All right. That was a wonderful panel, wasn't it? And great summit.
It was. I was really delighted to be there. I've been doing LGBT Senior, the website, it'll be 4 years in April, and this was definitely one of the high points for me. Like some of the people there, I wasn't quite sure how I got invited, but I was very happy to be there, and it was also very sobering, though. There were so many statistics and stuff coming out of there that was a lot to think about, just in terms of the situations that elders find themselves in, and LGBT elders specifically.
Yeah.
But before I get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your bio, which is very extensive. You're the founding director and CEO of Mary's House for older adults, developing LGBT-friendly residential housing in Washington, D.C. You've got your PhD in Human Services, specializing in nonprofit management. Now, this is so long, I'm going to skip over it.
Yeah.
But it also says that you're a mayoral appointee to the DC GLBT Advisory Council, and this really jumped out at me, program officer for the Older Adults Advisory Council for the Metropolitan Community Churches. That is my church.
Is that right?
Yes, I've been going to MCC New York for over 20 years now, and the pastor there, Reverend Pat Baumgardner, has been a role model of mine for many years, and her name is on my marriage license. So.
How cool is that? And I've been going to MCC DC for around 20 years, and my wife and I did our Holy Union there, and were married there when marriage became legal in DC.
Now, I know you've been in this field for a long time, and I'd like to talk about that, how you ended up in advocacy for for women and for LGBT elders, especially. How did that come about?
I don't know how it came about. I've always been a helper of the disenfranchised ever since a kid. I was a kid, if there was somebody who needed advocacy as a kid, people would come to me. My childhood friends would come to me, and we would sort things out, and I was always reaching for the underdog. So it's just it's what I do. I think from just childhood on. Being a woman, being a lesbian, being a black woman, I was a part of lots of communities that experience what I term microaggressions on a daily basis, and discrimination often. So just personally, it kind of bloomed out to helping women, helping children, helping people with disabilities, helping people of color, assisting with issues impacting LGBT people. My brother was a gay man. He died with the virus complications, having pneumonia complications to HIV, and the funeral home did not want to bury him. It took my parents through some awful things, and that kind of really cemented it for me then about the rights of gay folks. At the time, I was not practicing. I was married to a male, and was not acknowledging, I can say it like that, my lesbian self, but still picked up the banner for, equality. How could that happen?
How many years ago was that?
Oh, he died in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I'll be 57 in October. Frank, my husband, always tells me that I'm always jumping ahead. Like if I'm 56 and a half, I'll say I'm 57. But yeah, I was out in Los Angeles when HIV was happening, and it was GRID. They called it a gay. It was just. It's part of our lives. Those of us of this generation.
Exactly. And I had friends who were gay. I had lots of gay male friends, and they were just dying like flies with this disease that made you pimply, and then made your white. You turned white around your mouth, and then you could become small or skinny, and oh my goodness, didn't die. And no one knew what it was. So I'm of that age,
Yes, speaking of the thrush, it was that's when I knew, because my partner passed away. He died in '91.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, he came out of the bathroom one day. Because he had been, pardon the tangent, but he had been, he was a false negative, and so they were thinking, is it Crohn's disease? For 2 years, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And then he came out of the bathroom one day and he had thrush. And I said, I know what's going on.
Now we know, right.
Now we know. Now, I want to talk about Mary's house, because I believe you said on the panel that it was that you grew up in that house.
I did. It's my childhood home. We moved there, I think I was like 8 years old. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. My father was an entrepreneur, and we saved our pennies and bought the house. I grew up in that house. The street now, if you visit it, and Mark, you should come down and we'll do a site visit. It's apartment buildings on each side of it now, and on the left side there's a church. But when I grew up, there were only houses on that street, and we were the only black family. And white flight happened and people left and apartments came. So my dad stayed there until 2010. He had a stroke and couldn't go back into the house. But prior to that, he had decided that I should care for his business. And when he died, I had the house, and I was trying to figure out, what should I do with the house? Should I rent it out? Because, in Washington, D.C., you couldn't make a pretty penny for renting the house out, or what else could I do? And I'm in the housing business with LGBT folks. I know about the issues impacting LGBT folks, where folks in nursing homes treat you badly, and not even treat you badly, but don't even see you. My dad had 2 pennies to rub together, Mark. He had property, he had automobiles, he had a decent bank account, he had a stroke, went into a residence to get better, but he was just room 222. No one knew that he had these things, or he was this person. He became room 322 that needed to be bathed and showered and fed. But if he hadn't had my stepmother and myself and my wife and some other family members, what would he have done? And then I thought, what would have happened, Mark, had he been a gay man or a transgender person? Without, we traditionally don't have kids. So who would have been there to advocate for him or care for him, or you can't be there 24/7. So how do we know he would not have been mistreated? I don't even know that, and he was a heterosexual guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about all of that. I thought about people going back into the closet. My thesis, when I interviewed folks for my thesis, folks were saying, big dykes, big gay boys saying, what, Imani, I don't do that anymore. I just hang out with my my children or I just do my church work. So, they're not gay anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to be gay and old. It is hard, You've probably heard Betty Davis say this, old age ain't for sissies.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't talking about us. Old age, it's you can't be faint of heart and get old at the same time. I mean, you and I experienced it, So, housing, people still discriminate. There's just a new research study that came out about LGBT folks renting around the country and the discrimination that they experience, different tactics folks use not to rent to these gay folks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a house that it's LGBT focused. You can't discriminate and say it's only for LGBT
right.
people. But it's LGBT focused. If you're going to be heterosexual and live there, by golly, you are an ally. You do more than accept. You embrace gay people. So that's what this house is going to be.
Yes, and I've noticed just over the 4 years that I've been doing my website that it's come much more into the consciousness of at least certainly people who are aware of the issues. I mean, a lot of people aren't and don't want to be. I think
right.
Just as in the broader culture, age is something that people just want to pretend isn't going to happen to them.
Right.
And but there's a lot more going on than there was even 4 years ago. And I was on a webinar a couple years ago by a woman who works with like nursing homes, and it might have been specific to hospice. I can't quite remember, but it was really nice to see that some of these organizations and facilities are actually trying to educate themselves about the obstacles that we face.
And there's a great. I'm sorry.
No, that's all. Just that there's been progress made. 4 or 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have heard much of anything, unless you knew about SAGE.
Exactly, unless you knew about SAGE. And SAGE is taking a big leap. I just want to pull it, do a shout out for SAGE in that it's helped to be responsible for this national initiative on elder LGBT housing, which Mary's House is a partner, to bring it to the forefront because we were doing some education. I'm also the chair of SAGE Metro DC.
Mm-hmm.
But we were doing education to nursing homes, to what makes your place LGBT-friendly. Why would someone go to your establishment? When I was looking for folks to fit into my dissertation, I could not. I went to nursing homes and asked if I could talk to gay people in the nursing homes, and the executive directors or the administrator would say, sure. But, we don't have any people here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking District, Maryland, Virginia, and we don't have any people here. And I go there and I see somebody who looks obviously gay to me, and they're looking at me. No, please don't talk to me. I mean, how you get that look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course not. And, so that's because people, the environment isn't friendly. People don't come out, staff or patients, residents. And so we do some education. I do education. That's part of what I do. Part of my job, my 9 to 5, is to educate organizations, agencies on LGBT, how to make your organization LGBT competent, what you can do to make your staff more friendly, more accepting. Those kinds of, yeah.
The another thing that's always mattered to me is affordability. Because there might be a great place in Palm Springs,
Right.
Some places are fabulous if you can afford them. So it's always been important to me that housing period, but housing for older LGBT people focuses on affordability, because what good is it if you can't afford to live in it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's, Mary's House is one of about 7 or 8, less than a dozen affordable housing structures in the United States. We're, the initiative, the National LGBT Initiative is going to be working toward that. SAGE is going to be working toward identifying and creating affordable housing, because, if you're rich, just like you said, Mark, you can live anywhere you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's affordable, if you need affordable, and once we start working, all of us who have worked and don't have wealthy means, affordable will really come to play, how we define that. And the research is showing that most folks rely on their Social Security and perhaps a small pension. But for many of us, the pension is gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Social Security and the little 401k savings that we had,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can you let people know how to find, what your URL and how they can learn more about Mary's House?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So please go like us on Facebook. We're on Facebook, and we keep that updated. We've got lots of pictures, and you can interact with us. Or you can call us on our website. Go to our website, www.maryshousedc.org, and let me spell that, MaryShousedC.org.
And you're looking, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but it's in 2016 as your projected opening.
That's our projected opening, and it's 6 to 8 units, Mark. As I said during the on the White House panel, it's small, but it can be replicated. People are leaving. We're hoping people will bequeath houses to us, so that maybe there are 4 people in a house, and they live together, because we're promoting communal living.
Mm-hmm.
We're promoting. If you have a house and you need to match a partner up, and you want someone to live with you, or I don't want to de-gay my house. You don't want to de-gay yourself. You want
Right.
to have like people in. So we're developing a program that is a home share program that will help address housing issues in the DMV, and we're hoping that we can do it across the country. But that's one thing that we're doing in addition to building these homes that house small amounts of people, 6 people, and they have their own room, their own bathroom, and they share the kitchen and the dining room. They might have in our first house, there'll be a hydrotherapy unit there, and a space for congregate meals and conferences, all-purpose room. Laundromat, bus service to the store about a block away. So that's going to be the model of our second house. In our second house, we're hoping it's going to be an assisted living facility. And the third house will be a hospice. So for these 6 people, that we're hoping that we can be LGBT focused throughout, and then we'll do our second round.
Excellent. Now, just in wrapping up, what would you say to somebody who might listen to this or read about these things and want to get involved? What can an average person do who says, this matters to me and I want to do something?
Well, you can. We need people who want to advocate, because we petition City Hall. We write letters. People who can write letters to the editor. Keep this issue in the face of the public and our elected officials. So that we would love that. We have so that would be our policy arm. You can always write a check, because in building, you always need we have a building campaign going now, and it costs $800,000 an approximate, a little less than $800,000 to build, do the building on our house, which is a small drop in the bucket, I understand, in building housing. Thank you goodness for that. We're working on this program that we're calling Home Share. So we need people who are able to make telephone calls and that kind of thing. And we also have a program, or developing a program, where we actually reach out and try to identify elders in nursing homes, for example, and take a crew out to go visit. So that's all those things. It takes human resources. We need financial resources as well, but human resources, we will always need them.
Well, it has been really nice to talk to you. I just really liked going to Washington and meeting and seeing so many passionate people, despite some of the startling statistics.
It could be pretty depressing, huh?
Well, then I left there thinking, I better take a look at because an awful lot of people don't even have retirement savings.
Yes, exactly. Lots of people, and a lot of people who did, they're using them. Don't have a medical emergency where you have to use your money to pay your doctor bill, and the money just keeps going. Or, you are reorganized, or whatever they're calling it now, where, your job is cut. And then where do you go? Who's hiring 60-year-olds these days?
Oh, so don't say that.
I'm saying that there's a prejudice, against hiring. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. Fortunately, I'm the youngest person. I work at a really small company, and I'm the youngest person there. And when they hired me, they said they wanted a mature person, but they couldn't say that to the recruiter.
Right.
Because of what I do. I don't want to take up time with it, but it's a really small company, and they said, we wanted somebody older in this job. And I'm like, whew. If I'm the baby at 56, I'm not going to age out of the job, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's great. That's great, because a lot of folks are, the longer you work at a company, the larger your salary is, and you can hire somebody, a younger person right out of school, doesn't have the experience, but, it's easier on the corporate pocketbook. So, yeah, but that's a whole nother story. We can do another interview on that.
Okay.
I want to invite you, though, if you're in Washington, D.C., and your listeners in Washington, D.C. on May 23rd, I think it is, we're going to have, Mary's House has this annual, grassroots party, old school party, and we have old school music done by our DJ, Antonio Covey, and if your folks are jazz listeners, Antonio's father, Mr. Covey, wrote music for Aretha Franklin and that whole Stax Motown sound. So we have the right DJ for us, and it's in the afternoon from 3 to 7. Tickets are like $35, and we just had the bestest time. It's us. Each year we have people like our 21 to 82. We had someone that was in a wheelchair, somebody with oxygen, somebody on a cane, and we just tore up our little dance floor. So it was very, very nice. People from all over, different races and ages, of course, and socioeconomics. And it was a vision of the world that I want to live in, the world that I am advocating for. So if you're in D.C., let me know. Have you come down and shake a leg.
Very good. And are details for that on the site, on the website?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'll add that when I put this up. I'll add that to the text part of it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you again so much, and
thank you for being flexible. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a delight to talk to you.
Yes, same here.
And
if you come down to DC anyway, just look me up.
Oh, I will, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, because sometimes, not very often, but we get to DC sometimes, and I definitely will. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Mark. Alrighty.
Have a good rest of your evening.
I will. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.